Hi, it's Daniel Murphy, and this upcoming video shows falling a large, dead, side-leaning oak tree. This video demonstrates a technique called compensation pull. It refers to using the direction of pull and the amount of pull on the pull line to compensate for the side lean so that the overall vector of force on the tree is in line with the lay. For those of you that are familiar with the techniques taught by industry associations and other training organizations, the falling techniques they teach are far different than the falling techniques you'll see in this video and other videos of mine. And I think this points to a major flaw in the industry. I've given it a lot of thought, and the best thing I can come up with is that the people that are teaching arborists how to fall trees are learning and adopting techniques that have been used and developed by loggers. And while loggers are tremendously skilled tree fallers, I mean, the average logger has far more falling skills than the average arborist. That said, though, there are huge discrepancies between what it takes to fall a tree in the woods and what it takes to fall a tree in a suburban backyard. And for example, the dangers involved in a falling in a wooded situations are far greater than the dangers falling in a suburban backyard. The way we get paid, the ability to access equipment. You know, a faller can't be dragging a whole pickup truck full of tools into the woods with him. Another major difference is the tolerance for risk. If you're in a suburban backyard and the tree goes the wrong way, it could cost you big time. If it happens in the woods, not so much. So that's definitely going to affect the way we approach falling trees. One of the biggest controversies in arboriculture today is, should we be using vehicles to pull trees over with? Of course, there are inherent risks with using that much force to pull a tree over with, especially if you don't know what you're doing. There's no question in my mind that if you are well educated and knowledgeable about the risks and how to avoid them, that the benefits of pulling with vehicles far outweigh the risks. What's going on here is I'm taking a large, dangerous tree, never leaving the ground, and using a vehicle to pull it over. I'm doing that to avoid putting myself at risk or a climber at risk to go up and rig out this large dead oak tree. One of the best benefits of using vehicles to pull trees is their use in the compensation pull. As you'll see in this video, it's a big, heavy side leaning tree. We're going to need a lot of force on the pull line in order to compensate for that much side lean. And that much force is just not practical to set up with pulling by hand with mechanical advantage. So the vehicles and that much force that's easily at our power gives the fallers two big advantages here. You don't need to stand at the base of the tree when the tree starts to move. Number two, I can also leave a much thicker hinge because I have so much more power to move this tree. In the last few years, have been experimenting with very poor hinging trees like silver maples and white pines, and been convinced without a doubt in my mind that a thicker hinge holds far superior to a thinner hinge. The type of thicker hinge can only be tripped with pulling with equipment. For example, in this upcoming video, this oak hinge probably 8 or 10 inches thick on the big side, and that you could never consider moving that kind of hinge with wedges or pulling but with a rope and mechanical advantage hand system. You're going to need a vehicle and even a little mechanical advantage with the vehicle pulling. In this situation, you'll see that this hinge held perfectly all the way to the ground. That tree fell perfectly in line with the direction of the notch. And for those of you that are familiar with pulling with vehicles, even with a vehicle, you're only going to get the tree started on the pull line. By the time that tree picks up any speed at all, you can't drive fast enough or move that rope fast enough to keep up with the speed of the tree. So it was the hinge indeed that held on this tree. Again, great evidence in my opinion to show that thicker hinges work better than thinner hinges. So let's take a look at the video. I definitely had a lot of fun on this job. I hope you enjoy it. I appreciate your feedback. Let's keep it constructive. Thanks very much for watching. Hi, it's Daniel Murphy, and we are here to drop a big dead oak tree today. Hopefully we got a good establishing shot for you to show you what's going on. The tree has a hard lean left. It's just pretty much leaning over one ash tree. And if it went the wrong way, you know, maybe it could get ugly and hang up in those big trees in the back. Let's say if it's leaning at 3 o'clock, we want to drop it to 1:30. So we set the pull line up at 12 o'clock here. We've got a block on our ground anchor tree, so that enables us to turn the truck around and pull with the truck over here on a downhill slant, so there's no chance the truck's going to spin wheels. We don't need that much pull here. I set this rope up natural crotch, one shot with the slingshot. It's in the top of the tree. And we have the other side of the pole line tied off to another ground anchor, just another tree there. So we're actually, even though we have a pretty good amount of friction and it's going to be a little rough on the rope, we have a 2-to-1 mechanical advantage system minus that friction, which is going to give us quite a bit of pull. As much feel as anything else at this point. Dead oak, people don't think it hinges well, but it does. I've hinged oak a lot better than this, and I've seen how the hinges hold. On the other hand, with all that weight leaning, any hinge could fail. We're creating a vector of forces between the lean of the tree and the pole line, which should be right in line with the desired direction to fall here. Hopefully the whole thing lands in the middle of this yard. It's going to be quite a splash. It's difficult to tell from this camera angle how much that tree is leaning to the left of the drop zone. Also, there's a lot of interference in this shot from the trees in the background. The tree that we're dropping here is stone dead. It doesn't have a green leaf on it. This is probably the best angle that you could see the left lean of that tree from. Unfortunately, we did not get a very good establishing shot, so this is the best I can show you here. The red line shows you how much lean that tree has, and again, even in this picture, it's very deceptive. That tree has a huge amount of lean, and it's a very big tree. The tree started moving. Just a touch of the gas and it should go. Go! Stop! Go!
Nice.
Perfect. That is ace. What we do.
There's always a little uncertainty with that.
It's a perfect deal.
Look at that. You're going to go that way or a little bit more that way?
Well, all I wanted to do was clear the ash, and then after that I was good. What do you have? A lot of lean. Heavy lean.
That's amazing that it didn't go through there.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Doggone perfect.
That's a great job.
So what was your concern?
Oh, well, it was leaning so much over toward, it looked like it could fall on our neighbor's house. That's what I was afraid of.
I guess he knows what he's doing, I'd
Yeah.
say.
No, that's fabulous. I can't believe how heavy that thing was. What a cloud of dust and everything came up with.
Well, we'll get you your own chainsaw and you can saw it up.
Chuck, it was my pleasure working for you.
Thanks.
Let's go down and take a look at this hinge.
Follows the Rock of Gibraltar. Some rotten side.
Yeah. Get up there and take a look.
When do you think it would have come down on its own? Would it have pulled its roots, do you think, or?
Generally, they fall apart a little at a time.
This wood is strong, but the question is what's underneath.
There's a good bit of heart rot in there. That dark color there, that's one form of decay, and then this white color is another form of decay. Generally, when a tree leaves a good strong hinge, it will leave some fibers. And actually, to tell you the truth, we do have fibers sticking out on this side. I guess they just came up from the bottom side. But that hinge, you know, is whatever. 8 inches, 10 inches across on that side, which is why I left it. I left it thin on and actually cut the very end of the hinge off on the side of lean, because it's those fibers on this side that fight the lean. And let's see which way direction it fell. Excuse me for a second. It fell. There's the hinge point. Yeah, it actually went right with the notch. You can almost see, like, there's the hinge pointing right that way. So the hinge held. The front of the hinge.
The hinge is this front cut.
Well, no, that's the notch. This is the notch where I'm stepping on right
What's
here.
the hinge?
The hinge is all of this fiber here that was left.
Is what broke.
Whatever's left between the back cut and the
hinge
notch.
is the stuff that you didn't cut.
That's the hinge, exactly. So the hinge, the front of the hinge, is pointing this way, and then you adjust the back cut.
Well, you got it right.
Yeah,
It's a right angle perfectly with the cut.
it's perpendicular to the front of that hinge. So that was a perfect shot. There's a lot of force put on this rope. It's natural crotched. I didn't even put a pulley up in the tree, so there's a lot of friction. And I examined the rope later, and indeed there was some significant wear on this rope. However, what's going on here? I'm taking a monster dead oak tree hanging over the woods, hanging over another tree, an ash tree, and falling it to the side with one cut. So there's a trade-off. In order to avoid having to climb and rig this tree, and to be 100% safe, knowing that this tree is going to go where I want it to go. It's not going to fall the wrong way and damage other trees or potentially get the neighbor's house. It's going to go my way. I'm going to need to overload that rope far beyond the safe working load, which is generally considered 10 to 20% of the breaking strength of the line. So that is something I have years ago made up my mind is well worth it. I'll beat that rope up a little bit to keep myself safer, to keep climbers safer, and to be 100% sure that tree is going to go my way. One thing to keep in mind though, the rope I'm using is True Blue. This rope is incredibly durable. If I was to use a double braid, I would consider that double braid smoked on this one job. It would just be done. But the True Blue is an amazingly durable rope. So part of the trade-off is if you're going to beat your ropes up pulling with vehicles, you need to replace them on a fairly regular basis. And in this situation, I think it was well worth it to have to know that that rope has now been compromised and it's going to have to be replaced sooner than it would otherwise. It's going to be, maybe I'll have to downgrade it to light rigging rope or whatever, but that doesn't matter to me. The tree's on the ground safely, no one's hurt, no one was in risk. It was an easy job. This is the way I approach tree work.